Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Culture and Community Development, Michelle Benjamin. I keep saying this. She's one of the best ministers in the Kamala Prasad administration. I really hope that she reaches much higher in the rankings in the United National Congress in time to come, hopefully in time for 2030. Let me read over that part. Minister of Culture and Community Development, Michelle Benjamin, says the 2026 Flava Village Initiative engaged over 500 performers during the Carnival season, providing paid opportunities across the cultural sector. You know, everybody was complaining about how they were not earning anything. Right. Answering a question in the Senate yesterday afternoon, she detailed payment ranges for each category of performers and described the program as a major investment in the creative economy. The minister noted that about 90% of artists have already been paid. That's a significant amount. Under the PNM, most likely there will be 90% that haven't been paid. With all payments expected by May 31st, which is reasonable, 2026, as government commits to honoring every contract. And that is the natural nature of the United National Congress. They may not be able to do everything in time for when people want it, like even with the nurses. The Nursing Association who's trying to bully the government into submission. You all would have gotten what you wanted, you know. But in due time, have some patience. All you want the government to fix every issue that has been plaguing the health sector and the country by extension within a few months after years of neglect and corruption under the People's National Movement.
The Flava Village Initiative is a flagship cultural activation that serves as a hub for the display and celebration of our art forms. It operated from the 8th of January 2026 to the 1st of March 2026, spanning the full breadth of the Carnival season. Mr. President, during the period of operation, approximately in excess of 500 performers were engaged across a wide cross-section of our cultural landscape. These included a host of artists, the details of which, Mr. President, is going to be circulated or placed on record here today in an appendix. Mr. President, I wish to underscore that this initiative provided meaningful paid employment to approximately over 500 cultural practitioners across the length of the Carnival season. That is the statement of this government's commitment to the creative economy and to the livelihoods of those that keep our traditions alive. Mr. President, the contractual amount of each engagement was determined on the basis of negotiated industry pricing and the duration of the respective performance. I wish to outline for the Honorable Senate the ranges applicable to each category of performer. Live bands were engaged at rates ranging from 20,000 to 60,000. Steel bands were similarly engaged from rates engaging 12,000 to 60,000. Calypso, soca, chutney, rapso artists performing without a live band were engaged respective rates 1,500 to 40,000. Rhythm sections, tassa groups, tambu bamboo groups were engaged on an average 4,000 to 7,000. Disc jockeys range from 2,000 to 4,500. Hosts, masters of ceremonies were engaged from 2,500 to 7,000. Steel pan soloists from 800 to 4,000. With respect to traditional carnival characters, Mr. President, individual characters such as baby dolls were engaged at approximately 700 per individual, while group engagements such as Moko Jumbies and Blue Devils attract fees of 5,000 per group. These ranges, Mr. President, reflect the estimated or established market rates for cultural practitioners in Trinidad and Tobago, and we negotiated accordingly. Mr. President, the Flava Village Initiative concluded its operations on the 1st of March 2026. I can advise this Honorable Senate as follows. The majority of payments in respect of engagements during the month of January 2026 have been paid in full. Payments with respect to February 2026 engagements are currently being processed. To date, however, 90% of artists have received payment. All payments to the various categories of performers are expected to be completed on or before the 31st of May 2026. Mr. President, I wish to assure this Senate and the cultural practitioners of Trinidad and Tobago that the government is fully committed to honoring every contractual obligation arising from the Flava Village Initiative. Every performer who rendered a service will be paid. Thank you, Mr. President.
Police are investigating an armed robbery aboard a cargo vessel docked along the Port of Spain waterfront on Sunday night. According to reports, around 10:30 p.m., the group of approximately 12 men armed with firearms, cutlasses, and axes boarded the vessel C. Elizabeth II, which was moored alongside a barge near the Hyatt Regency at Trinidad for repairs. They came to repair and they ended up getting robbed. The assailants announced their robbery and relieved. I love how the media says it like that. Relieved. Woo! Anyhow, that's the appropriate term, right? So the assailants announced their robbery and relieved the vessel's captain, a Grenadier national. Like Grenada like to say. Anyhow, I'll say what I say just now. The assailants announced their robbery and relieved the vessel's captain, a Grenadier national, along with 2 crew members, a Vincentian national, and a Trinidad-based shipmate of several items. Now I can say what I was going to say. You know how all these Caribbean people like to say we are in a zone of peace? Yes! Grenada included. Zone of peace, man. Zone of peace. My response, according to tribal anti-American jihadists and communists throughout the Caribbean, we supposedly live in a zone of peace. That was real peaceful, eh? Yeah, you peacefully surrendered what belongs to you. To patriots who believe that they are reaping their ancestral inheritance, I wish all of you a whole lot of luck in this zone of peace. The Trinidad and Tobago Association for the Hearing Impaired recently held a retreat in Tobago where focus was placed on better serving the community. One of their engagements was with their members of the Executive Council of the Tobago House of Assembly. TTAHI Committee Chair and Board Director Nicole Maloney pointed out that education access for hearing impaired students is lacking in Tobago. So it's wonderful that it's being highlighted now. TTAHI proposed allowing some of their special education teachers to work in Tobago. This was welcomed by THA Secretary of Education, Skills and Innovation, Orlando Kerr, who noted a severe shortage of trained teachers on the island to support the hearing impaired. Secretary Kerr also revealed that he is working on ways to improve the student support unit within the division to better cater to special needs students. Telling you, Farley Augustine and his team doing a wonderful job in Tobago, and that's why with me it has nothing to do with tribalism, you know. Look at the party, Farley's party in Tobago. It's an Afro-based party, but yeah, they are doing a wonderful job, and they tend, not as much, but they tend to lean a little bit on the conservative side of governance, and that's what I care about as well. But once you're performing well, like how even Mia Motley in Barbados performs quite well, then that's all matters to me, you know, performance. Performance is what matters.
In Trinidad, our deaf and hard of hearing population reaches tertiary, master's, PhD, all at the levels. In Tobago, they're not even given the opportunity to write SEA exams.
TTAHI proposed allowing some of their special education teachers to work in Tobago. This was welcomed by Secretary of Education, Skills and Innovation, Orlando Kerr, who noted a severe shortage of trained teachers on the island to support the hearing impaired.
I have been having conversations with my administrator so that we will sometime very soon offer incentives for teachers outside of Tobago to come to the island.
Kerr also revealed that he is working on ways to improve the student support unit within the division to better cater to special needs students. Another issue for the TTAHI is an apparent lack of data sharing.
Because when we look at our listing, we are seeing children that have been to Dretchy in Tobago, and trying to contact them is an issue. So we can't really reach them.
Secretary of Health and Wellness, Dr. Faith Brebner, admitted that health services in Tobago do shoulder some blame. Due to a lack of specialists, when hearing impairments are detected, they are immediately referred to Trinidad.
We could see why that is a challenge, and it's actually one of the reasons we insisted on paying for those hearing services, for the screening, for the assessments, for the hearing aid maintenance, for that to happen in Tobago.
Dr. Brebner suggested establishing a memorandum of understanding as a guide to ensure data is shared efficiently between the entities. In the meantime, Dr. Brebner iterated the THA's commitment to improving support. For the community. Candace Jackson, TTT News.
Wednesday, April 15, 2026 weather report for Trinidad and Tobago. The weather is expected to be fair, hazy, and breezy with a high temperature of 28 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius and a low around 24 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius. While generally sunny, there are partly cloudy patches that may produce isolated light showers, with the highest chance, around 40%, occurring during the morning and midday hours. Key metrics and maritime conditions. Heat index. It will feel significantly warmer than the actual temperature, with a predicted heat index of up to 34 degrees Celsius. Wind. Expect easterly winds between 8 to 40 kilometers per hour. Humidity. Levels will range from 60% to 85%. Seas. Slight to moderate conditions are expected, with waves in open waters reaching 1.5 meters to 2.0 meters and remaining below 1.0 meters in sheltered areas. Sunrise and sunset. The sun will rise at 5:51 a.m. and set at 6:14 p.m.
Regional news now. April is being observed as Volcano Awareness Month. Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, now of course that's that Finding Nemo, Michelle Forbes says efforts will continue to raise awareness across communities and schools. The theme for this year's observance is the legacy of La Soufre. What a legacy and history that has. Our home, our hazard, our heritage. You see, just as I said, what a history. The research being conducted in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is expected to continue for 3 years, with scientists collaborating with NEMO and the UE Seismic Research Center. It is one of several search initiatives planned over the next 5 years. And it has to be done to ensure that things can be monitored and ensure that in case it decides to erupt, it ends up erupting again, which most likely it will, people can be able to evacuate in the shortest space of time possible. Lives will be saved.
Over the last 20 years, we have collaborated with the UE Seismic Research Center during the month of April to remember the hazard we are living with. These events are for us to ensure that the next generation does not forget the dangers of living with a volcano. And if it's not if it will erupt again, but when. This year, our activities will run from 10th to 30th of April under the theme, Legacy of La Soufre, Our Home, Our Hazard, Our Heritage. And our activities will include school visits, field trip to Wallabu, cultural events on the 29th and 30th of April, Career Day at the Belmont Observatory, and among other activities.
Despite reports of shortages at some service stations across Georgetown, Guyana, General Manager of the Guyana Oil Company, Guy Oil, Molly Hassan, has assured that sufficient fuel is available and distribution is ongoing. But of course, the media, probably even in Guyana, doesn't like the Ufana administration. And the Wind Party, which is basically like a branch of the original, I think it's PNC in Guyana. Yeah, that's the PNM part there, Right. They, of course, will be always trying to spew a lot of propaganda into the public domain in order to shine a bad light on the Ufana administration. Hassan told NCN News that all Guy Oil stations remain operational, with the Regent Street Providence, the Sheriff Street locations offering 24-hour service to meet increased demand. She urged citizens to remain calm and avoid panic buying. Well, maybe just maybe the reason why that is happening is because of the what? Fake news being put out in the public domain. These assurances were echoed by Prime Minister Mark Phillips in a statement issued on Monday evening. He confirmed that a delayed fuel shipment has arrived and is currently being discharged with additional supplies expected in the coming days. Despite the reassurances, long lines of vehicles have been observed at several stations. Well, you know, that's what happens in Trinidad and Tobago as well, with some motorists waiting for hours and others stockpiling fuel. That's the problem, you see? Just like in Trinidad, when certain things happen, everybody wants to buy out all the toilet paper. The Guyana Energy Agency has issued safety guidelines urging the use of approved containers and warning against improper storage to reduce the risk of fire and injury. Authorities maintain that the disruption is temporary and expect the situation to normalize shortly. The National Works Agency in Jamaica says work has started to clear roadways and drains in several communities in East, Central, and Southern St. James, which was severely impacted by recent flood rains. Johns Hall, Hurlock, Lottery, Amity Hall, and Seven Rivers are among communities which were impacted. Anyway, they said they were that again after that hurricane last year. My Lord, boy. Telling you we need to continue to pray and support our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. I don't care. You see me? Even though I agree with people with politics and so forth, I still care about them. I still care about their families and their lives and so forth and their safety and their welfare. Therefore, that's why I continue to advocate on behalf of everyone, whether it's in all parts of the Caribbean, even though it's tribal Caribbean and in Jamaica. The world needs to do a whole lot more to help, not just lend a nation that is really struggling to recover right about now. Donate millions upon millions of dollars and in aid, just like you do in Gaza. Gaza, which is controlled by actual terrorists, real terrorists, that exploit their own citizens. They take the humanitarian aid, they take the funding and whatsoever, and use it for their own benefit. And then when they have the humanitarian aid, they sell it to even make more money. Sell it to the Gazans. Prime Minister Philip Davis is defending the government's decision to go into arbitration with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, calling it a win for the country. Davis said the move shows why the PLP is the best choice for Grand Bahama, while taking a jab at the Free National Movement's refusal to challenge the GBPA. I'm now becoming aware about what's taking place politically in Bahamas. So I don't know what will be my opinion about this. Anyone viewing my videos throughout the Caribbean, I have viewers in Jamaica and so forth. Anyone viewing from the Bahamas, comment and let me know what you think. He also suggested that FNM leader Michael Pintard could be receiving funding from the entity, though no evidence, of course, was presented. So those are alleged statements it's just alleged that is taking place. So people, okay then.
We went to arbitration. They thought they could scare us, like they scared everyone else who came before us. They thought they could scare us. Look at us here. And you say, look scared? Scared? Scared of who? Friends, they forget who they dealing with. No matter what they call me. What do the people call me? That's right. That's right. And as I said, they thought I was joking. They thought I was scared. We went to arbitration and we won. No matter how they spin it, we won. And now for the first time in a long time, the Port Authority is forced. They forced to face its obligations.
International news now. Officers in Redmond, Washington, safely rescued 5 ducklings trapped in a storm drain on Old Redmond Road on April 12th, 2026. I love how Fox News is highlighting these normal things now. It's wonderful, though. It's showing the compassionate side of mankind. I don't know if that will take place in Trinidad, but it's wonderful to see it taking place in the United States of America, Western civilization, America. The team, assisted by Public Works, successfully lifted the ducklings from beneath the grate and reunited them with their mother, who was waiting nearby in a rescued captured on Instagram and Facebook. This could have come under the interesting fact segment as well, but I had to highlight it here.
This little guy? Let's see here.
Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the best Republican senators in America, said, "I hope the speculations and rumors about another extension of the ceasefire to reach an agreement with Iran are unfounded." I hope so too. Because Iran, the Ayatollah, will just continue saying, we want to talk, and when you have talks, it's the same thing again, over and over again. Come on, don't do that, President Trump, please. He said, "From my perspective, President Trump's position is clear. I fear the Iranians will play the same old game they always play, dragging things out by making simple concessions." Exactly. They'll say, you know what, we're going to agree with something, you know. And when they have the meeting, they will say, yes, well, we will agree with that. But, you know, we're still not going to agree with the rest, the most major things. That negotiation needs to stop. He said, "I believe the bottom line for President Trump is no enrichment of uranium. American control over the existing enriched uranium. Opening the Strait of Hormuz without Iranian interference. In other words, stop trying to extort money from people and charging them $2 million. Iran must abandon its long-range ballistic missile program and any effort to develop nuclear weapons. You cannot allow a jihadist radical regime that chants death to America and Israel to develop nuclear weapons, people. You just cannot let that happen. And Iran must stop supporting all terrorist proxies in the region. We're talking about Hamas. We're talking about Hezbollah. We're talking about the Houthis. You have to stop it. You have to stop it. Will they comply? Nah, never, never. Even if they lie and say they will still continue to do it on the low. This will allow Iran to exist as a nation, but not as a state that is the biggest sponsor of terrorism. If there's no agreement, it is time to finish the job. Well said, Lindsey Graham. Now for the interesting fact segment. High in the rugged Tian Shan Mountains, the snow lotus thrives in extreme conditions above 10,000 feet, where freezing temperatures, thin air, and intense sunlight challenge survival. I definitely can't survive up there. I'll have to go and see it though. This rare plant grows slowly, taking 5 to 8 years to mature. 5 to 8 years just to mature, you know. And blooms only once in its lifetime, making every appearance incredibly special. Valued for its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits, it has been used in traditional medicine for centuries. However, increasing demand, overharvesting, and climate change are now threatening its fragile species, turning a natural wonder into a conservation concern.
Welcome to Real Conservative. Headline News Travel Adventures. Nestled in the rugged mountains of northeast Algeria, Jamila, meaning the beautiful in Arabic, is one of the most stunning examples of Roman urban planning in North Africa. Originally known as Kokal, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is unique for its ability to adapt sophisticated architecture to a steep, mountainous terrain nearly 3,000 feet above sea level. Unlike typical Roman cities built on flat plains, Jamila features 2 separate public forums and a layout that winds naturally with the hills. The city flourished for several centuries as a center of commerce and agriculture. Today, visitors can walk through remarkably well-preserved streets to view the Arch of Caracalla, the temple of the Severan family, and an impressive theater carved directly into the hillside. The southern end of the site features a Christian quarter, home to a 4th-century baptistery and cathedral, showcasing the city's transition through different cultural eras. One of the site's greatest treasures is the Jamila Museum, which houses an extraordinary collection of mosaics. These intricate artworks, many of which cover entire walls, depict scenes of nature, mythology, and daily life with vibrant detail. Surrounded by green valleys and wildflowers in the spring, Jamila remains a serene and powerful testament to human ingenuity and the architectural legacy of the Roman Empire. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name,